polls are open, and at least some Minnesotans are already casting their ballots. But the lack of any prominent races has officials predicting a less than 10% turnout for today's primary election. The only statewide race is for Minnesota's Supreme Court. Incumbent Justice Natalie Hudson facing Michelle McDonald. McDonald ran in 2014. There was widespread controversy over her conviction for failing to take a breathalyzer test during a suspected DUI stop. Attorney Craig Foss also running. The Republican primary in the 2nd Congressional District is also getting a lot of attention. Pitt's well-known radio talk show host Jason Lewis against 3 challengers, including Matt Erickson, John Howe, and Darlene Miller. Lewis is the party's endorsed nominee, but Miller has the endorsement of retiring Congressman John Klein. Winner will face Democrat Angie Craig in November. It is a race that is being targeted by both national parties.
This is going to be a race that once we get past the primary is going to take on national implications because the Democrats perceive this to be a potential pickup for them. Republicans want to hold this. It's going to attract millions of dollars in advertising.
And will Phyllis Kahn keep her seat? The highest turnout may be expected in Minneapolis for that DFL race for House District 60B. 44-year state house incumbent Kahn faces challenges from Mohammed Noor and Ilhan Omar, the endorsed candidate there. No endorsement in that district. It was very close during the endorsement convention. Parts of Hennepin County election officials plan on taking advantage of this likely low turnout. They're going to test a new electronic check-in system. You know how it used to be, you wait in a line depending on the first letter of your last name, and you'd have multiple lines or maybe a bunch of judges sitting around doing nothing. Well, now you can go to any judge with an iPad who will sign you in or register you to vote. And the county believes this is going to cut down on wait times. Precincts in Minneapolis will not use this until 2017. They don't want to try anything new right now because they are expecting higher turnout today. Another House race attracting attention. St. Paul's District 65A, leader of Black Lives Matter in St. Paul, Rashad Turner, is challenging incumbent Representative Rena Moran. Finally, House Speaker Kurt Dowd, he's facing a challenge from retired Army Major and businessman Alan Duff in the Republican primary in Minnesota House District 31A. Stay with WCCO. We'll have continuing coverage on air online of today's primary election.
If you're planning to fly Delta today, you're still going to want to check the status of your flight. Delta says it's operating still in recovery mode after yesterday's major computer outage. Delta says it's had to cancel about 300 flights this morning. The airline canceled more than 740 flights after a power glitch at its Atlanta operations center. Delta is still investigating why some critical systems and network equipment didn't switch over to a backup system. The outage affected about 100 flights at MSP, and new delays and cancellations continue to show up for today's departures and arrivals. A travel waiver is in effect, allowing Delta passengers to change and rebook flights without paying change fees. The airline is also offering compensation to customers who are significantly affected.
Minneapolis Police Department is making some changes to its use of force policy. Brand new policy changes focus on the sanctity of life and the protection of the public. It also puts an emphasis on de-escalation of situations that will take officers out of harm's way and protect the lives of those they serve. The new policy changes also make officers accountable for their actions and the actions of officers they work with.
It shall be the duty of every sworn employee present at any scene where physical force is either being inappropriately applied or is no longer required, that sworn officer has a duty to intervene to stop the other sworn officer from continuing to use that force.
Chief Janae Harteau says the policy changes fall in line with recommendations outlined in the President's Task Force in 21st Century Policing. She said she hopes the change creates more trust between police and community. Well, we parents know we can have